My wife cheated, caught her in bed with another man while our daughter helplessly waited at her cousin's house. Before diving into this part, make sure to check out part 1 for the full story. The link is in the description below. Let's start the video. Hey Reddit. If you thought the last update was a gut punch, hold on to your seat. This next chapter of my life is turning into something out of a twisted movie, and it doesn't look like it's going to have a happy ending. The days following Sarah's tearful admission felt like a blur. I was numb, but the anger inside me was bubbling just beneath the surface. Every time I closed my eyes, I could see Sarah with Ethan. I could hear her begging for forgiveness, and I knew deep down that nothing she said could ever make me feel whole again. But this wasn't just about me, it was about Lily too. The realization that Sarah had betrayed us both while our daughter waited at her cousin's house made my blood run cold. After everything, the confrontation with Ethan, the bombshell Claire dropped about his recordings, it all came crashing down on me. But things were about to get even darker. A week had passed since I filed for separation, and I was still trying to pick up the pieces of my life. It felt like every time I started to move forward, something else came to light that dragged me back into the chaos. That's when I received a message that I never saw coming. It was from Sarah's mother. She wanted to meet. Her words were cryptic, and I had no idea what she was about to reveal. But I knew I had to hear it. So I agreed to meet her at a small coffee shop. When I sat down across from her, the tension in the air was thick. She didn't waste time with pleasantries. "I know what you're going through," she said, her voice soft but serious. "But I need to tell you something about Sarah. Something you don't know." I raised an eyebrow. What could she possibly say now? I thought I'd heard it all. "Sarah's been hiding something from you for a long time," she continued. "She has an addiction, and it's not just gambling. She's been using prescription pills for months, maybe even longer. I've tried to help her, but she kept it hidden. And it was affecting everything, her marriage, her decisions, even her ability to be a good mother." The words hit me like a ton of bricks. I sat back, my mind racing to process this new revelation. All the lies, all the deceit, everything made sense now. Sarah hadn't just been making bad decisions out of a need for excitement or escape. She had been spiraling, and I had no idea how deep the hole went. Her mother went on to explain that Sarah had been getting these pills from a friend at the yoga studio, someone who had connections to the local drug scene. And Ethan? Well, he was well aware of her struggles, and rather than being the guru he claimed to be, he'd been taking advantage of her vulnerability. This was too much to handle. I felt betrayed not just by Sarah, but by everyone around her, her mother, Ethan, her friends. The truth was, I didn't know who to trust anymore. It felt like my whole world had been built on lies. That night, I couldn't sleep. I tossed and turned, the weight of everything pressing down on me. I needed answers, but what I really wanted was a way out of this nightmare. It was then that I decided I had to confront Sarah once and for all. The guilt and shame she carried with her were palpable, but I couldn't let her off the hook so easily. This wasn't just about her infidelity anymore. It was about the future of our family. It was about Lily's safety, her mental well-being, and my own peace of mind. I didn't wait long. The next morning, I drove over to the house while Lily was at school. Sarah was sitting on the couch, her eyes hollow and tired. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. "I spoke to your mom last night," I said, my voice steady but laced with fury. "I know about the pills. I know about everything. You've been lying to me about so much more than just your affair." Her face drained of color. She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. Her guilt was written all over her face. "I've been patient," I continued, my voice getting colder with each word. "I've tried to understand why you did what you did. But now I see. You were unraveling, Sarah. You weren't the person I thought I married, and you haven't been for a long time. You've been hiding from the truth, from me, and most of all, from yourself." She started crying again, but this time, I couldn't bring myself to feel sorry for her. The damage was done. The trust was shattered beyond repair. "I'm done with the lies," I said, my voice cutting through the room like a knife. "You've hurt me, and you've hurt Lily. I don't know if I can ever forgive you, but I'm going to try for her sake. But first, you need to get help. You need to admit what you've done and face the consequences. Because it's all on you." She nodded, her sobs coming in ragged bursts. But I didn't feel the satisfaction I thought I would. I felt empty, lost. The woman I once loved was slipping further away from me with each passing moment. As I left the house that day, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was never going to get the closure I needed. But one thing was certain, I had to protect Lily. She was the only thing that mattered now. A few days later, I received a call from Claire. She had some concrete evidence of Ethan's recordings, and she was willing to help me. I met with her in person, and she handed me a flash drive containing videos of Ethan and Sarah in compromising situations. The footage was graphic, and it made my stomach churn to think that Sarah had been part of it. "This is the proof you need," Claire said, her voice tinged with sadness. "I'm sorry it came to this. But you deserve the truth." With that, I felt like I had the ammunition I needed to finally take control of this situation. I contacted my lawyer immediately, determined to ensure that Sarah would not be able to manipulate her way out of this. And more than that, I was determined to protect Lily from the fallout of this nightmare. But the truth was, it was never going to be simple. The damage had been done, and there was no going back. This story wasn't over yet, and neither was the battle for my family's future. Stay tuned for the next update, because just when I thought I had the answers, something even more shocking is about to be uncovered. Final update. It's been months since the day I first discovered the truth about Sarah's affair, and the journey I've been on has been anything but easy. What I thought would be the worst chapter of my life turned into something so much more complex, so much darker than I could have imagined. And now, after all the confrontations, the betrayals, and the heartbreaking revelations, I'm finally at a place where I can reflect on everything that's happened and what comes next. At the start, I thought the affair was the worst of it. I thought Sarah's infidelity was the one thing I couldn't come back from. But the more I uncovered, the more I realized how deep the deceit ran. It wasn't just about Sarah cheating on me, it was about everything she had hidden, everything she had kept from me while I naively tried to protect her, to hold on to the family we once had. When I first discovered her gambling problems and addiction to prescription pills, I thought that was the end of it. But the truth, it turns out, was even darker. That final conversation I had with Sarah's mother, the one where she dropped the bombshell about Sarah's drug use and financial ruin, set off a chain reaction I never expected. You see, while I was focused on the affair, Sarah had been living a double life, one that I had no clue about. She had been spiraling into addiction, using her affair with Ethan as an escape from the chaos of her own mind. And Ethan? He wasn't just some yoga instructor, he was a predator who targeted vulnerable women like Sarah, using their weaknesses to manipulate them into giving him what he wanted. But the real revelation came when I finally confronted Sarah about the recordings Ethan had been making. The videos, the evidence, were more than just proof of her infidelity, they were proof of the dark hold Ethan had over her. He had been filming everything. Every encounter. Every moment of weakness she'd given in to. It wasn't just about a fling, it was about control. Ethan had manipulated Sarah, and I had been blind to it all. When I received the flash drive from Claire, Ethan's ex-girlfriend, I was horrified by what I saw. The footage was explicit, graphic, and it made me physically sick to watch. But it was the final nail in the coffin. I knew I couldn't let Sarah continue to hide from her own actions. She had to face the consequences, and I had to protect Lily from this toxic environment. But even with all the proof in front of me, even with Sarah's admission of guilt, something inside me still hoped for reconciliation. I kept questioning if there was any way to fix what had been broken. Could Sarah get better? Could she overcome her addictions and start fresh? The answer came, not from me, but from Sarah herself. After weeks of pleading, after trying every possible angle to convince me that she was sorry and that she could change, Sarah gave me the final answer I needed. One night, as I was sitting in the living room with her, she turned to me with tears streaming down her face and said, "I don't deserve your forgiveness. I don't deserve a second chance. I've ruined everything, and I'm the only one to blame." Those words stung more than any of the others. I thought I would feel relief, but all I felt was exhaustion. I had given everything to this marriage, and now, I was watching it crumble before my eyes. She went on, "I'm going to get help. I've made so many mistakes, and I know I can't undo them, but I have to try. I need to do this for me. For myself." It was the first time in a long while that Sarah seemed like she was truly seeing the reality of her situation. But it was too late. I couldn't trust her anymore. The lies, the betrayal, the years of deception, I couldn't get past them. I couldn't put my daughter in the middle of that. So, I made the decision. I filed for divorce. I couldn't allow Sarah back into our lives, not in the way she wanted. I had to think about Lily, about what was best for her future. I couldn't risk dragging her through this mess any longer. The divorce wasn't easy, and it's still not final, but every day that passes feels like a small victory. The hardest part was seeing Sarah's reaction when I told her. She didn't fight me on it, but she was crushed. She had lost everything. And while I didn't want to be the one to tear apart our family, I couldn't keep pretending like things could go back to how they were. But through all of this, I learned something valuable. I'm stronger than I thought. And so is Lily. I'm learning to rebuild, one step at a time, for her sake. Over the last few months, I've been focusing on healing. I've made sure that Lily feels safe, loved, and supported. She's been through a lot: her mother's betrayal, the tension at home, and the eventual separation. But she's resilient, and I'm doing everything I can to make sure she grows up knowing she is loved, no matter what happens with Sarah. As for Sarah, she did seek help. She's been going to therapy, attending support groups for her gambling and pill addiction, and working on herself. I don't know if she will ever be the person I hoped she would be, but I hope for her sake that she finds peace and healing. I've also been trying to reconnect with parts of myself that I lost during this whole ordeal. I'm rediscovering my passions, my goals, and my strength. And most importantly, I'm focusing on being the best father I can be to Lily. This chapter of my life is far from over, but I'm no longer trapped in the darkness of betrayal and lies. The pain is still there, but I'm learning to live with it. And I'll continue to move forward, for me, and for Lily. I want to thank all of you who followed this journey with me, offering your support, your advice, and your kind words. You have no idea how much it's meant to me. This community has been my lifeline, and I'm forever grateful for it. I don't know what the future holds, but I'm determined to make it better. For myself. For Lily. And for the life I still have ahead of me. And with that, this chapter of the story ends. But my journey is just beginning. Thank you for reading, and I'll always keep you posted on what happens next. That's all for today's video, folks. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time for more exciting content. See you next time.